What's going on, gang? We're having a bankruptcy massacre happening live in America. And some of the biggest companies that you've seen, you probably drive by them, you might even use them just like me. But I want to start off with Pizza Hut filing bankruptcy because there's two important things to digest from here, or three, I should say. Number one is that Pizza Hut tailors to the very lower end of the spectrum because of their pricing, and right now, when they file bankruptcy, it just shows me that the working class, the people that are working, maybe having one job, working all the time, or two jobs, they're not making ends meet. And the sure sign of that, I don't need charts or statistics, is when Pizza Hut can't make their bills end meet because of what's happening to the working class. They're just getting squeezed out. Okay. Now, in this bug situation, a lot of businesses, a lot of restaurants were making a lot of money because they're doing deliveries now. Before they were not. They're doing Uber, they were not. They're getting new revenue and they were doing deliveries. Some of them went to hardships, but pizza was definitely not one. And the reason I know is I work in the pizza industry. I know family members that own pizza businesses, and many of them were making a lot more money versus before. Okay. So that's one point to take away is because of Pizza Hut, we can realize that the lower spectrum of retail or American citizens are really in trouble that they can't even pay a $10 pizza. Now, the other thing we have to take away from it is that, you know, again, family members own pizza franchisees. I've been in the pizza business for quite a long time. I actually helped one of the Texas's largest franchise to take online orders back in early 2000 when we were on dial up. So I know the industry really good. And what Pizza Hut does is they just, shrink that profit margin for like this much. They'll sell you a extra large pizza for 7.99 when maybe the whole cost of that thing is, $7, or they're just making 99 cents. And their whole goal is to do so much. But we really realize that the reason they're able to have any success is because of massive debt. They're not having successful because they have a great system. They're not having success because they have a great gadget. No, they're having success because they have unlimited access to free printing press, where the smaller franchisees don't may not have that. For example, the family member that I'm talking about, they own a pizza place. They compete next to Pizza Hut, and they done good in this bug out time. However, I hear them always saying it's hard to compete because they sell a, let's say, extra large pizza for 15 or $20, where these guys are selling one for $7. So it's very hard to compete in that sense. However, you're getting a whole different food. You know what I mean? Because these guys make their bread, their crust every day from ground zero, where at Pizza Hut is coming just commercialized, just like McDonald's. You're not even getting the real deal. However, the point of the story on the economic aspect is that even though the lower end spectrum of Americans are getting so squeezed that they can't even get, pizza, especially in a time when everyone's at home and they're ordering pizza. Okay. So that's something to think about. The other point was that we got to have profit margins, and and the third thing is that too much debt is going to make anyone go bankrupt. And here's the stories today. Okay, now let's move into the next one. 24-hour fitness, ladies and gentlemen. 24-hour fitness are like in every place. I worked there when I was very young. My very first business as an entrepreneur was not a moving company. And when I was in high school, what I did is I would, I had a job at a gym. I learned about fitness, and then I did fitness all the time. I was in wrestling, I was in sports. I worked out all the time. I wanted to be like Arnold, so I would train people. And then I started my own business by just training people. So I remember when 24-hour fitness was like really glamorous. If you were like a GM working at one of their stores, you'll make like over $100,000. And think about it, this is back in 1994, 1995. So $100,000 was like a lot of money if you were a GM manager at 24 Hour Fitness. Where today they're filing bankruptcies. I'm a member from them. They're sending me emails, and the crazy thing is, like, I pay for a 2-year membership. So, anyways, 24 Hours is filing bankruptcy, which is no doubt because Gold Gem filed bankruptcy, GMC filed bankruptcy. And I don't know if you guys can see, there's a linear part that if you're in the fitness industry, because of government restriction of free enterprise and our constitutional rights to be able to make our own decisions, right? They're butting in and they're just wiping out like big big old corporate America. And I don't even like corporate America. I like the small business owner because that's the key. That's the key of everyone having prosperity is to have skin in the game, right? um, Versus having big corporations, because they don't care about their customers. They're just caring about profits and shareholders and etc. And that's exactly what happened with Pizza Hut. That's exactly what happened with 24 Hour Fitness. Okay. Now we're seeing that whole sectors are getting wiped out, like the fitness industries, like the supplement industries, like GMC. I mean, GMC is like in every freaking mall in America. I used to buy a lot of stuff from GMC because before 1994 and yonder, there was not online internet where you could just order supplements online. So your only solution was to go to the mall and go to GMC to get a protein for $40 when it really cost them $9, right? And you had to pay this expensive prices. Eventually, I was one of the pioneers of creating online ordering systems in the fitness industry, and then I came and did the pizza industry with this franchise. And I consulted them so they could do it because I had done it for my family members, and we're getting orders back in online orders when no franchise had an online order back in early 2000s, guys, when we were in dial-up age. But going back to the story, their GMC was overinflated. The technology came in, disturbed the industry, and now you can order stuff online on Amazon, and the profit margin of supplements are come very, 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 very slim, which is the same model of Pizza Hut. But now on top of that, Big Brother has stepped in and they've taken people's right to do business, and now that's adding into the fitness industry, and now you're seeing an avalanche of you know big guys going bankrupt. Now, for every one big guy that goes bankrupt, there's probably thousands and thousands of small guys that go bankrupt that we don't know about. That small gym owner that serviced 1,000 clients, that personal trainer that had 50 clients, that supplement store that sold to the local gym, or that smoothie cake factory that was right there that serviced to 24. Because I don't know if you guys know, every 24-hour fitness will usually have a smoothie king or some kind of shake factory right next to that, right? And I don't know if you ever noticed that, but pay attention, or a supplement company or whatever. Now these people are going to get affected because they got majority of their revenues just being smack next to that. Okay. And the other thing people don't realize is, like, for example, there's 1,200 Pizza Huts closing down. Okay, 1,200. Well, in one Pizza Hut, there's going to be at least two general managers or shift managers. There's going to be at least 10 to 25 drivers, depends on because when they're selling it so cheap, they got to drive a whole lot. So there's then they're ordering their boxes, then they're getting supplies from the meat company and from this company and that company. So there's a lot of other people that are going to be affected because they're linked into this, right? You got the truckers that have to take the trucks. I mean, there's so many different insurances and so many different aspects are going to get affected with that. But just one little store will maybe employ 25 to 30 people, depends on the size, or even more. And when you're talking about like 1,200, you do that 20 times 1,200, you'll see that, well, that's a lot of people that just got laid off, like pizza drivers, right, or kitchen workers or whatever. Okay, and the pool of unemployment is already skyrocketing high, right? And when you have more people coming to it, then you can see that we're in big trouble. Now, if you look at the normal TV, they're telling you, hey, the job market went up, the pending house went up. But what they're not telling you is that, for example, in the pending houses, if you have a water hose, right, and it's this big, and you construct it, right, and you only get like 20% out of it, and then you let water come into it this much, well, that's a growth. But see, they're only helping you realize that it was this much and now it's this much, so there's that growth of 40%, right? But they're not talking about that, hey, it was this much and now we shrinked it to this much and now it grew up this much, right? So, and the people that do the associations that do these statistics, they have an interest, for example, the realtor associations. Well, when they do statistics, they have an interest because they get all these dues from realtors. So the better the market is, the more dues they get. I mean, it's in their vested interest to say, yes, it's going up and only focus on what's good. Now, going back to the story of bankruptcies, so we got 24-hour fitness, we have GMC. I have a whole lot of lists here that, we can go over. Um, we got Wendy's. Everyone has in America that I've gone to. I've seen a Wendy's. I've seen a Pizza Hut. We have movie theaters going bankrupt, guys. We have Pier One, Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, I know when I was a kid, I used to go to Chuck E. Cheese. My parents used to take me for Chuck E. Cheese for birthdays. So it's like, boom. Okay. We have Neiman Marcus. Okay. Now, so here's the other thing. You're having two spectrums of people. Like, not only are you having the lower, but the middle too, because you have Neiman Marcus filing bankruptcies. You're having Tuesday, all these other top retailers. They're not like your Kmart specials, right? Where if Pizza Hut was at the lower end, you these are middle or higher end, and these businesses are also filing bankruptcy. Okay, we all know about the rental car Hertz. Um, Pier One, Chuck E. Cheese, Neiman Marcus, J.C. Penney. I mean, the crazy thing with J.C. Penney, like some of these companies, they're going bankrupt. I have family members that have devoted their whole life to these people, right? They come to immigrants to America and they work their way up, for example, in J.C. Penney's, and they've been there 25 years and they've done all the right things and now they're top managers. Well, boom, what happens to them, dude? What happens to them? I mean, that's a crazy question. Hey guys, click the like button. I really appreciate it. It helps me grow the channel up. Much love to you. And leave me a comment. Let me know if you've lost your job or if you know anyone that has lost their job below. Okay. For example, when Wendy's closes 400 stores, right? When Wendy's closes 400 stores, there's going to be at least 25, 30 people there, right? At each store, they're closing 400. You add that up. You add the Pizza Hut 1,200 times 20 per each store, which is probably more. You add that up. You add J.C. Penney, which they're in so many different malls. You add GMC. You add Neiman's Marcus. You add Pizza Hut. You add 24-hour fitness. You add the Hertz. I mean, like the rental car. So you're getting massive amounts of uh, smokes coming out, but on the media and on the stock market, you're having a different story. It's kind of like the Titanic, people getting drunk, they're doing the little dances while the ship is sinking, right? That while the ship is sinking, and then you have forecasts like the home sales went up 40%, not really telling you that look, if this was a hose, they squeezed the shit out of it, right? And now they let it up, and yes, more 40% went up from the lowest low, right? But the other thing you have to realize with the home prices is that this is, I've been in the moving industry for 14 more now. I mean, I started right out of college, 16, 17 years. I had a moving company for 14 plus years, right? And so I know the moving season like the back of my hand, right? I know exactly when's the busy season, when is not. I also own a brokerage firm since the last crash, right, 2006. So I know when people buy homes. So this is the season where people are moving. I mean, this is the busiest season ever, okay? Let me say that again. This is the busiest season. So if we're seeing some kind of spike go up, because this is the busiest season, and on top of that, we constructed, there was hardly any listings, and the people are now coming out to a list and prices are going to get taken up. I mean, I've talked to a lot of sellers that they say they have a contract, they have a contract, they have a contract. And I see that a lot, right? I'm hitting the fields, I'm hitting the trenches. What's going on, man? And I see a lot of sellers like, hey, I got a contract, I got a contract, and they're feeling good about that. And that's just temporary. That's just temporary because this is the moving season. This is the peak of the season. This is what people have to move, for their schools, for their kids' schools. And, this is the peak of it. And we're way lower than we were just a year ago or 2 years ago, way lower, like way lower, right? But the way they twist the statistics to make it think like now, people are getting their houses on contract, but that doesn't mean anything because there's so many people that didn't list. And now as people come, right, as inventories come, because as more inventory comes, that's when we're going to see that, hey, after a little while, prices are going to be coming down as more inventory comes, at foreclosures starts rolling through. And the reason we're seeing that little spike is because there's lower inventory. A lot of people wanted to move. Well, they have to move with their kids, or they already sold their homes. They're in the middle of the situation, and they're buying just like sight unseen, or just quickly. They're making faster decisions, and since there's less inventory, so there's a spike. There's a spike on the prices, and there's a spike on the statistics. But the statistics don't realize that this is what the water holds was, and now it's contracted this much, and they grew this much, and now that looks 40% compared to where the all-time lows were. Okay, so you got to understand the full story. You have to be able to zoom out. Okay, but in my opinion, the real estate prices are going to come down. They're going to come down significantly, because we have a diversion. We have an illusion. We have magic happening right now where the markets and the statistics, the mainstream media plays out, which is owned by just a couple of families, the richest families in America, are totally different than when you see your everyday store, everyday mom and pop store you used to go to, or the store you used to shop at, or where you work out at, or maybe where you buy your food at or pizza at. They're filing bankruptcy. Okay, and the problem is that there's too much debt. The problem is that they're printing so much freaking money. I mean, guys, never in the history of America have we printed so much. Before bailouts were millions of dollars. Today, they're talking about trillions of dollars. No one even knows what trillions of dollars is, right? But seriously, hardly anyone can count that high, right? It would take you a lifetime. But we're printing this stuff out. They're giving out free money to everyone, and we're going to a situation where there's going to be great opportunities. I mean, I feel bad because the bankers are doing this, right? They're just printing so much money. Big Brother's aiding them to do that as well. They're like almost in bed with each other, and but robberies happening from the poor, the middle class, and the elites are just escaping with it. But the opportunities are, many of these people have bought homes with ultra low interest rates. With ultra low interest rates, so many people have started businesses with ultra low interest rates, and the opportunity, in my view, is that OPM, other people's money or other people's mortgages. Okay, an example is that there are millions and millions of people who've lost their jobs. Well, a lot of these people can't make their monthly payments. Well, the opportunity comes for me is to target these sellers, let them know that I can take over their payments, let them know that I can become, you know, a debt reliever for them because I'll relieve them of that bleeding every month. And in return, they have to deed me the property. They have to give me the title of the property, and I'll be the rightful owner of it. And that's the only reason I'll make monthly payments on it. But they can go to the next chapter of their life. Maybe they lost their jobs. They can't make the payments anymore. Maybe he's behind 2 months. Maybe he's behind 1 month. Maybe he's not behind at all. They're just smart to realize that, hey, I'm going through my savings. I can't, end of the day, afford this house, right? And what I teach at, Mr. No Fluff, and by the way, if you want to join me in my mastermind, the Abundance Club. So the Abundance Club, right now you can try it for 7 days for just $1, guys. We meet every week, and I teach you about real estate entrepreneurship without debt. So again, go to mrnofluff.com and then click on the Abundance Club, or go to the abundanceclub.mrnofluff.com, guys. Either way, it'll get you there. $1 for 7 days. After that is $97 a month for 4 meetings a month. I answer all your questions. I bring you market updates, And I'm also share with you the moves that I'm making, just like an open card, so you can see what I'm doing. I show you my losses, my gains, my happiness, and when I'm, down and under, guys, because when you get punched in the face, it hurts. It doesn't matter who you are, guys. Okay. So great opportunity. You know, why do I say great opportunity? For example, like imagine all these commercial buildings are getting closed down. The Pizza Huts, there's 1,200, the Wendy's, the stores. Well, these landlords, some of them are going to be defaulting because they have jobs and they can't pay the monthly payments, right? So they're going to be defaulting. Well, if you want to be a commercial real estate investor, the best time ever, because there's going to be tons of motivated sellers out there. Well, let's say someone wanted to start a restaurant business. Maybe they can go talk to that seller owner and say, look, dude, let me just take over your business for you. Let's work something out. I'll just take over the payments. You already have the phone system. You already have the greasers. You already have all the equipment. You already have the business. You just can't make the ends meet. You don't have the will anymore. Well, why don't I just give you 5 grand and I'll just step into your shoes and we sign everything and I own your business and boom. I mean that's exactly how we bought uh, one business, right? Which was a pizza business. There was a guy that had a pizza business. This was, and he was moving to Russia, right? He was moving to Russia. He was tired of living here, and he had paid a lot of money for this business, but he was highly motivated, and he was moving in 6 months. He already bought everything. We paid him 10 grand. We just paid him 10 grand, and we just took over his business. We took over all of his furniture, all the phone lines. I mean, that was the main thing. The lease, everything for just $10,000. I mean, like he could have just sold one oven and made more than that, but sometimes people are motivated, they don't take action. So there's a lot of opportunity. And at the Abundance Club, for $1 for your first week, after that is $97 a month, we get to explore all that stuff in your backyard, plus real estate, because I love real estate. And I'll show you, different things that I'm doing, and I'll answer all your questions for $97 a month, guys. Plus, whenever you join for the first 49, we have people already start joining the first 49. We'll give you $3,500 of advanced real estate courses and business courses to help you be your dreams, from lead generation to everything you can imagine, guys, underneath the moon and stars, the stuff that I sell for, guys. All right, let me answer some of those questions. So Pizza Hut sucks, expensive, man. I don't know, man. Where we at, they're selling extra larges for like $7, and like I said, my family, I know a lot of people that own in the pizza business. Uh, they're selling extra larges for 15, so like they're selling it real cheap, dude. Not a big fan of them, and I was pretty happy when they did file bankruptcy. Sounds mean, but deserves them right. They had really low margins. They ran out of other small and pop businesses. Their pizza sucked. I agree with that on that. You want to be their dead daddy. You want to be their dead daddy. Yeah, man. That's why I call it deadpreneurs. There's so many deadpreneurs that they have everything. They have multi-million-dollar mansions, or they have a business, or they have a car, but they don't own anything. They're just deadpreneurs, guys. They're just the banker's bitch. Excuse my language. He says Wendy's good, man. Talking about Wendy's, man. When I was in high school, man, I was just like always working out. I was just a beef head. Like I'd be at the gym 2 or 3 hours a day. I was hardcore into wrestling, and in college too, all my life basically. Uh, and at that time, man, I didn't eat anything besides potatoes and chicken breasts, right? And I would just grill these chicken breasts myself. But sometimes I wouldn't be able to get some chicken breast, so I would head up to fucking Wendy's, and I'd say, hey, I get the chicken. I would say I order those chickens with nothing on it. I don't even want the buns, just give me the chicken. And I remember doing that, and I'll pop it up with my potatoes, and that's all I used to eat, man. Like oatmeal and eggs for breakfast, and then potatoes and chicken breast, man, because I wanted to get lean. And at that time, I was like 240 pounds, 224 pounds lean. And man, that's all I ate. And I used to go to Wendy's, and I'd be like, uh, when I was in college, or or high school, be like, hey, let me get that sandwich without a bread. But I didn't at that time. I wasn't educated about like, you know, man, eating at that place is horrible. Eating at Pizza Hut is horrible. Eating in this kind of crap is so horrible for you. It kills you. It's processed. That's why, heart attacks is the biggest death, not terrorists, not the bug that they're talking about right now. That's why obesity is more killer than the bug that we have right now that they shut down and they're making millions of people lose their homes and savings, right? Um, but there's big rich families that own these things and they profit from this processed food. I mean, which is the most sickening thing ever. I see kids, guys, I mean, like, go to the playground. I take my kid to the playground every freaking day. Like, every day. That's the thing, we got to go to the playground, right? Every day I take them to the playground, and guess what, all these kids are so obese, dude, and it's just like kills me. And it's just like they're just not even 3 years old and they're obese, and I'm just like, they don't know any better. You know what I mean? Just like back then, I was in high school, I would just, I would know, like, I wasn't gonna eat some nasty stuff. I would just only get the chicken breast, but still, dude, it's not like, I don't even think it's real chicken, dude. But the problem is that there are millions of dollars being made by few elites in the food business. There's a few elites that own all the media business. There's a few elites that own just everything, and they're siphoning up the rich from the middle class and the lower class as I speak. As I speak, and I don't know how to explain it because just by them printing money and being close to the printing press. I mean, how did Pizza Hut get so much debt, right? Because they're close to the printing press. Okay, where a small business owner not going to be able to get all that debt. And I don't like debt. So I think getting debt is a dumb way to grow. Growing your business through debt, end of the day, means dancing with the devil, if you believe in that, okay? Or basically means death to your business. Debt means death to your business, in my opinion, because everyone gets into that, they start having massive success, they start growing, but somewhere they over leverage, and it happens to the most smartest people in businesses. And that's why I say it's dancing with the devil. And the old idea of like rolling up your sleeves, putting the work in, waiting for your harvest, tying your belt, you got to sacrifice. You might have to live in your car. You might have to, do all these things that you don't want to do. I mean, just out the door, right? The easiest thing is, let me just borrow some money and I'll grow. And yes, people do grow, but they're growing artificially, and the side consequences, massive, massive, you know, affect like a blast throughout our economy over and over and over, where we're going to have the fell up the dollar as a world reserve currency because of this in what we do. Okay, so great opportunities. A lot of people can get hurt. That's why I do my channel, to help everyone have abundance, no matter if the market is up, sideways, down. Um, Hard times ahead for many, great opportunities for many. It just depends on your mindset and the actions you're willing to take and the sacrifices you're willing to put up with, guys. Because America's the greatest country ever, but it does require work. Unless you're willing to stick your hand out and get sign a little paper, promissory note, or a credit card, whatever it is, and then you have instant access of fake dollars. But the problem with that is bankruptcies. It doesn't matter if you're Neiman's Marcus, you're Wendy's, or you're whatever, GMC, whatever. End of the day, that's what happens, because too much growth without a great foundation is cancer. It's cancer, and that's what we have. We're a nation of, consumption instead of production. We're a nation of debtors, versus lending to people in a sense, but we're lending them fake money. Uh, but I'm not going to get into that, guys. If you have any questions, let me answer some questions before we get out of here. Man, Ben asked a good question. He said, thanks, buddy. Ben says, can you find me a house that I can park my RV in the back and rent out the house to someone? See, now Ben has a competitive edge, right? Because he RVs, and he's thinking about the rental business, how to have passive income. I mean, that's ingenious, right? That's ingenious. Um, and why is that ingenious? Because you're basically living somewhere, someone else is paying for something else, and you have no bills to pay, and you're building cash flow, you're building equity, and now I don't give financial advice, but if that was me, what I would do is that you know I would get into my abundance club. Right, it's $1. We meet every Saturday, and then in this era of total motivation of sellers, a sea of massacre of motivated sellers, I would market to sellers direct. I would be working on improving my skills to buy, sell it off market properties. I would improve my skills on finding sellers, how to talk to them, how to negotiate, how to give an offer, so that I can get that house without me going to a bank, because there is a seller out there that has exactly what you're looking for, a beautiful home that doesn't have uh, HOA, doesn't have deed restrictions that's going to allow that, right? And but you just got to go find them. Someone has to go find them, right? So whatever you're looking for is out there, but it's going to require action. Or the other thing is to go the traditional path, which is they hire an agent, they get a loan and go that way. But I see that you're thinking, and that's awesome, dude. Because man, that's a great strategy, right? You love to RV, you buy a property, you park your RV there, you rent out the property, you're living for free. Because I don't know if you guys been to an RV park, man. You're gonna spend like 60, $70 a night minimum there, right? So I like the idea, man. Great work, dude. Oh, man, so do I think this bug is overblown? Man, I've been saying that for quite a while, guys. I've been saying that for quite a while. I mean, if we had the same exact philosophy with, let's say, car wrecks, then we would realize that cars are horrible situations. They make us really poor. They make our health poor. They pollute the fuck out of the planet, right? If we had the same exact philosophy that we have with this bug, with the pharmaceutical medicines that they pump to your grandma, to your mama, to your cousin, even to you, even to your kids, right? Then we would realize that this is crazy, because all these pills we put into our body, and I'm not a doctor and I give any opinions, just my own opinions, is jacking us up one way or another, right? If it's psychological pills, like they make people feel a certain way, anxiety, whatever, all the way to all these cancer pills, whatever. And so if we took it the same way as the virus, right? If we took it the same way as the virus, then things would be a whole lot different, because we would go address those problems with the pharmaceutical. We would go address the problems with all the processed food that we are creating, and creating obesity in the young kids, right? Like kids are 3 years old that've been eating that processed food from whatever, like Walmart. And guess what, dude? Well, they're already obese at 3 years old, man. They're 3 years old, right? Um, we would address that, because these all these things that I just mentioned, the food, processed food, the medicine, the all that stuff, the cars, they're killing so many more people that you wouldn't even realize, right? So many more people than you realize. It's unbelievable, right? And the solution is that you know those guys are making millions of dollars. The pharmaceutical companies are buying the lobbyists. The car manufacturers are buying the lobbyists. And the food industry is buying the lobbyists. I mean, come on, man. So if we had the same attitude, I mean, I think the whole bug is basically a cover up for American bankruptcy, right? The world fractional reserve bankruptcy, right? Because basically that's what it is. Everyone's bought into this currency, and it's going under. Now, is there a bug out there? Absolutely, right? There's so many different bugs out there every day, but we're not stopping and destroying people's livelihood to feed their kids, because there's so many different bugs, or there's so many car wrecks. There's millions of people die every day, more than the bug, but just going to the work, right? But we're not stopping that. So um, I think there's something more underneath. We'll find out, but either way, millions of people are losing their jobs, and that's why everyone should join the Abundance Club, where we meet every week, and we'll talk further. All right, man. Thanks, man. See you guys later.